जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Thank you for joining. Today we are discussing verse number 17 of chapter number 2 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And in the previous verse, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that those who are seers of truth, Tattvadarshi, they understand or they conclude that of the non-existent or of the material body there is no endurance. Meaning that the temporary body or material body is temporary in nature. It will not exist eternally. And the second thing they understand is of the eternal, means the soul, there is no change or no cessation. So soul is considered as eternal and the body is temporary and is for sure to die. And in this verse, today's verse number 17, Krishna is going to explain the further qualities of the soul. So let's see the verse 17, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 17. Avinashi tu tadviddhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasam avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. The translation is, that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So Krishna over here is trying to tell Arjuna about the qualities of the spirit soul. So he is using the term Avinashi. So there is a term Vinashi. Vinashi means that which can be destroyed. So Avinashi means that which cannot be destroyed, or it is imperishable. So Krishna is saying, Avinashi tu tadviddhi. Tadviddhi means know that. Know that what? That the soul is imperishable. That means that Bhishma and Drona are actually soul and they are indestructible. So you will not be able to kill them. And then what is the next quality that Krishna is saying? Yena sarvam idam tatam. Yena sarvam idam tatam. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the soul is situated in the region of heart. And from there the soul pervades the entire body. But how does it the soul pervades the entire body? So the soul pervades the entire body through consciousness or through the life force. Just for example, you can take that just as a light bulb which spreads the light throughout the room, though it is located at one part of the room. So this is how the soul actually pervades the entire body by just locating itself in the region of heart. Another example is of the sun. That sun is at a far distance, but the sun is pervading throughout the universe. So the sun through the sun rays or the sunlight. Similarly, the soul is situated in the region of heart, but it pervades the entire body through consciousness. So consciousness is the symptom of soul, or sometimes we can say characteristics of the soul. So wherever there is consciousness, that indicates that there is a presence of soul. So example can be given that when we pinch a human being or an animal which is alive, then that human being or the animal is going to react or retaliate. But however, when we pinch or even if we burn a dead body, it is not going to retaliate. So why is that? So that is because there is no consciousness. The soul has already left the body. So these are some of the examples through which we can understand that how the soul can pervade the entire body. So because of the presence of the soul, there is consciousness, and because of the consciousness, we feel pain and pleasure. And then in the next two lines, Krishna says, Vinasam avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. What that is mean? That this imperishable soul, nobody can destroy. Therefore, there is no death for the soul. It is eternal. So therefore, Arjuna doesn't have to worry about the death of his grandfather Bhishma and his teacher Drona. Now the body goes through 6 stages of transformation. It takes birth, it grows, it remains for some time, it produces, and then it dwindles gradually, and then the death occurs to the body. But for the soul, it doesn't have to go through any such kind of transformation. The characteristics of the soul are very distinguishably different than that of a body. So when we look around ourselves in the material world, or we look around, in our family or things around us, we will see that there are things that has consciousness. So wherever there is consciousness, that indicates there is a presence of soul, and it has to go through 6 kinds of transformation. But we'll also see that there is dull matter, like the chair, the table, or the computer, and it does not go through any of this kind of transformation which we have indicated. So Krishna says that both this soul or Atma and the Atma has consciousness. So both of them are eternal and indestructible. So all this discussion is happening to convince Arjuna that not to lament because the soul is eternal. Now let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to say in the purport. In the purport, the first point Srila Prabhupada being is, what is real nature of the soul? So in this verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. So that is the nature of the soul, that it is spread all over the body. Though it is in one place, it is spreading all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body, and that is, it is consciousness. So consciousness is actually the way the soul spreads over the entire body. So here we see that there is a human body, and then there is a soul in the region of heart, and the consciousness is spread all over the entire body. So if we touch or if we pinch this person, he will feel because of the presence of soul. Now the next point is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasure of the body in parts or as whole. Right? We experience that. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. So the soul can only experience the pain and the pleasure of his own body. He cannot experience the pain and pleasure of other person's body. The pains and pleasures of one's body are unknown to another. The pains and pleasures of one's body are unknown to another. So my pains and pleasures will be unknown to somebody else. Similarly, other person's pains and pleasure is unknown to me. Therefore, each and everybody is the embodiment of an individual soul. So we put in a body which is a soul. Individual soul is put in one body, and then that body is only experiencing the pains and pleasure, and the symptoms of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. So as we discussed earlier, wherever there is consciousness indicates that there is the presence of soul. Now the next point is discussed is about the size of the soul. The soul is described as 1/10,000 part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. So if you take the tip of the hair and cut it into 100 parts, and then take one part of it and again cut it into 100 parts, so that is 1/10,000 the part of the tip of the hair. So it is extremely small. So is this literal or is this metaphorical? So literal, what is the meaning of literal and what is the meaning of metaphorical? So literal means it is not symbolic. It is the actual description or has some dimensions. But metaphorical means it's symbolic. It is an indicative of how small the soul is. So in this case, we can say that when the scriptures gives the description of the soul as 10,000 the tip of the hair. Then first we have to figure out what is the size of the tip of the hair. So that's why this question is asked, is it literal or is it metaphorical? So actually it is both, So it is both, so that the soul has a form, but the form is also so small, and it's basically extremely small size, but it still has a dimension. So soul has a form also in the spiritual world, and when in the material existence, it is the size is like chitkana. The term is used as chitkana, which is extremely small size, and it is a particle of consciousness in a seed form. In the spiritual realm, however, it is not dimensionless. For example, in the spiritual world, Krishna has a particular height, and similarly all the devotees or the residents of the Vaikuntha planet or the Goloka planet has particular height, particular weight. The meaning is that they have a form and dimensions. So when the soul in the spiritual world, it has a certain dimension or a certain form, and when it comes to the material world, then it takes the form of a seed form, which is kind of a very small particle. So later, we'll read that the soul is also accompanied in this body by a super soul. So that's another point, but let's continue with this. That the size of the soul is described as 1/10,000 part of the upper portion of the hair, point of the hair point in size. The Siddhashvatar Upanishad confirms this. So this is the verse 5.9 from Siddhashvatar Upanishad. The size of the soul. Balagra satabhagasya satadha kalpitasya cha. Bhago jiva sa vijneya sa chanaya chanantaya kalpate. When the upper portion of the hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such part is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Similarly, the same version is stated. So these are two different scriptures where the dimension of the soul is given. So here also balagraha. Balagraha means you take the tip of the hair. So here keshagra. Kesha is also the hair. So there are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000 of the upper portion of the hair. So this is the scriptural reference to tell us about the dimension of the soul. Now next point is the consciousness is the symptom of soul. Therefore, the individual particle of a spirit soul is spiritual atom smaller than the material atom, and such atoms are innumerable. So this is the point, that there are innumerable souls, and it is very tiny in measurement. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body. So the material body, goes through all the transformation only if the soul is there. If the soul is not there, then matter is dull matter. Only by the presence of the soul, the matter becomes alive. And the influence of such spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of an active principle of some medicines spread throughout the body. So just as, if we have to give some injection to somebody, if you have to cure somebody from some disease, then you give some medication at one point. But then the medicine spreads into the entire body through the veins, basically the circulatory system of the body takes care of it, and the medicine reaches all the parts. So similarly, the consciousness of the soul reaches all part of the body by the presence of soul. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of soul. So whenever there is consciousness, as we discussed earlier, that if you cut or if you burn the dead body, it will not react or retaliate. But At the same time, if the soul is there in the body, the soul will react to those kind of actions. What is a death or death of a body, or what is dead body basically? Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is the dead body. So if there is no consciousness, means something was there conscious earlier, and the person was active, but something has left that body, and the body has become inactive, and there is no consciousness in that body. So that is actually a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. So this is science, will argue that we can revive, but if the soul is not there, then the body, even any kind of material science, cannot revive that particular body. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but it is due to the spirit soul. So this is the point that has been discussed, that the consciousness is the symptom of soul, or it is wherever there is soul, there is consciousness. So when the soul leaves the body, no matter how hard the material science or the doctors can try, but the body will be dead. They cannot bring the soul back. The next question is, where is the soul located in the body? So this has been discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Also Krishna says in the later chapters, but the reference has been given from Mandukya Upanishad over here. In the Mandukya Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. So where the soul is and how it is located and where it is located, all these things are given in this verse. Esho nuratma chetasya vidatvo yasmin pranay panchadha samvivesha pranais chittam sarvam otam prajnanam yasmin visuddhe vibhavati esa atma. The meaning is, the soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. Means somebody who understands the science of soul, they can understand or they can perceive the soul through their intelligence. Right? So they can understand that how small the soul is, but still it is pervading the entire body. This atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air. Prana, Apana, Vayana, Samana and Udana is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entity. So a question can be asked that the soul is atomic in size. So can we see through a microscope? And the answer is no, because the soul is spiritual. Spiritual cannot be seen through gross material instruments. Inability to see is due to the spiritual nature. But when present in this world, in its microscopic form, and it can be understood by the presence of consciousness. And the soul is actually sitting in the region of heart that has been discussed over here. So soul is floating in the 5 types of air. So those 5 types of airs are Prana, Apana, Vayana, Samana and Udana. So this normally we have a understanding of air in the body in terms of oxygen. But the Vedic science talks about that there is a pranic body and there are different kinds of air in the body. So here the purple air shows the region in which the air which is there in this area is Udana, and then the prana is somewhere in this region, and then the samana is there in this particular area, then apana is in this area, and then vayana pervades the whole body. So different kinds of functions in the body are performed by different kinds of airs. So for example, over here I have given some details that prana is in the chest and the head, and it governs intake, inspiration, propulsion, forward movement, So these are the functions that is performed by the prana air. The apana air governs the elimination. So if you see, it's in the lower region. So elimination that happens in our body, downward and upward movement, that is governed by the apana air. And then samana is in the navel area, so governs assimilation, discretement, inner absorption, consolidation, etc. And udana means at the throat area, that governs the growth, speech, expression, upward movements, etc., etc. And the whole body is about vayana, that governs the circulation of all levels, expansiveness, pervasiveness. So there are different kinds of air, and where all this 5 air meets, so that meeting point, that's where the soul is actually floating in that region, and that is actually in a particular point near the conjunctions of all this is near the area of our heart. So the prana is actually the interaction between our gross body and the subtle body. So subtle body is mind, intelligence and false ego, and the gross body is earth, water, fire, air and ether. So the prana actually joins these two things. So this is how these air movements happen, and the place where all these 5 airs meet, that's the region where our soul is. So soul is sitting in the region of heart. So that is the point that is discussed here. So the atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of air: prana, apana, vayana, samana, and is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entity. Now this is in the conditioned state. So when we are under material conditioning, that is our state. We are situated in the region of heart. When the soul is purified from the contamination of 5 kind of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So there is a purificatory process, and that is discussed in the next point as Hatha Yoga. So the purpose of Hatha Yoga. So when we practice Hatha Yoga, then gradually our airs in the body also get purified, as well as the soul's consciousness also gets purified. And then the soul is considered to be in a pure state, and when it is and it's exhibiting its spiritual influence when it is purified. So the purpose of Hatha Yoga. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting posture, not for any material profit. So this Hatha Yoga, which is now kind of become a business, but this is for physical fitness. Now it can be compared in the contemporary world. Hatha Yoga is just for maintaining the body, but that was not the original purpose. The original purpose was not material at all, but for the liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of material atmosphere. That was the purpose. This yoga system, the Patanjali yoga system, is also called as Ashtanga Yoga. And the purpose of the Ashtanga Yoga is to purify the consciousness of the soul. So Hatha Yoga there are 8 limbs of Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. There are 8 parts. And one of the part is Hatha Yoga. And one of the part is Pranayama. So this helps to maintain, by doing Hatha Yoga, one can actually improve or purify these airs in the body. Now the next point is difference between the soul and the super soul. So within this body there is a soul as well as there is a super soul, Paramatma. So there is a distinction between soul and super soul. So what is the distinction is described in this particular section. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literature, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. So somebody who is little bit, he understands how things work in the world, they can understand the presence of soul. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. So people can think that the word Sarvam is used means the conscious one person can understand the consciousness of other person. So that they can miscalculate and then misunderstand that the soul himself is Vishnu. So that is a understanding, that's a wrong understanding. That's what Prabhupada is saying. The insane man can think that the atomic soul is all pervading and Vishnu Tattva. No. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. Because this consciousness which we are experiencing, we can only experience our consciousness. But the super soul who is next to us in our body, he is actually experiencing the consciousness of all the living entities at the same time. So that is actually Vishnu Tattva. We are not Vishnu Tattva. Soul beyond perception of science. So the science, will be difficult to experimentally find out the soul. That's what this point is. According to the Mandukya Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the region in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. So in the current contemporary science, they don't accept the presence of soul in the body. Because normally science wants proof, they want to see. But the soul is spiritual. How can we see the spiritual thing through our material eyes or material equipments? It cannot detect. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul. And thus all the energies of the body movement are emanating from this part of the body. So this thing actually even science accept that everything is emanating from the region of heart. The corpuscles means blood corpuscles which carry the oxygen from lungs gather energy for the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. So this activity of getting the oxygen towards the heart, that actually stops when the soul is not there in the body. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of energy is the soul, because the medical science don't see the soul. That's why they don't accept. Medical science, however, does not admit that the heart is the seat of all the energy. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. So they know that if the heart stops, everything stops. So that is the seat of all the energies. But they don't know that the heart is running because of the presence of soul. Now there is an example given to compare soul and super soul. The analogy to compare soul and super soul. Such atomic particles, which is the soul of the spirit whole, are compared to the sunshine. So the souls can be compared to sunshine, molecules, and in the sunshine there are innumerable radiant molecules. So there is when you see the sun and the sunshine, the sun is one, but the sunshine is spreading everywhere. So the sun can be compared to the super soul, and the sunshine where there are innumerable particles can be compared to the soul. Similarly, the fragmental part of the Supreme Lord or atomic spark of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So soul can be also called as, sometimes this energy of the soul, the atomic spark can be called as Prabha, and it is actually superior energy of the Lord. And the inferior energy of the Lord is the material world, the dull matter. And why it is inferior? Because it doesn't have consciousness. That's why it is inferior. So where do we get all this knowledge? So that's what Prabhupada is saying. The Vedic knowledge or the Bhagavad Gita describes the science of soul. So whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body. And the science of the soul is explicitly described in Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. So Krishna is describing this basic knowledge to Arjuna, so that Arjuna understands that what is the difference between body and soul, and he understands that the body is temporary and the soul is eternal. So Arjuna should not lament for the body of, in particular, body of his grandfather Bhishma and his teacher Drona, but he should be concerned about the soul which is eternal. So that's why all this knowledge has been described by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita right in the beginning. So all these points which is discussed in the purport is presented in this slide, and you can study whenever you get chance. So with this we'll stop here and we'll continue in the discussion of the science of soul in the future verses. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.